We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 24th day of June 2019. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable weekend. Those of you who may have lost loved ones over the past few weeks, the past few days, we want to extend our condolences to you and ask that the good Lord will strengthen you during these very challenging times. For those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we ask you to be extremely careful, cautious, observe the rules of the road. Remember that the life you save may be your own. I want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls, 9 times out of 10. And this morning, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord. That is one word, fortherecord, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And as usual, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. We will have guests in the studio after the 8 o'clock news. I think we should be discussing Celebrate Cayman, what those activities that are scheduled fairly soon. We have Constitution Day coming up fairly soon as well. And I think we will also be talking about the Joint Ministerial Council meeting that is taken place, or the pre-joint ministerial meeting that will take place in the Cayman Islands. That involves all of the overseas territories, usually the Caribbean, but I'm not sure whether or not those in the Pacific region will be, or in the Atlantic region will be here as well, talking about the Falkland Islands, St. Helena, Pitcairn, whether or not representatives will be from there as well. Normally, you would have representatives from Bermuda, Turks and Caicos, Anguilla, Montserrat, BVI, the Cayman Islands. So that should be interesting, and there will also be some discussions about the activities of UCOTA, which is the Overseas Territories organization that we have established, of which the Cayman Islands are a part of that as well. They do lots of work, lots of keeping local officials informed of what's happening within the European Union as well. So, after 8 o'clock news this morning, we will have that. Meanwhile, we will have, an open line for you to be able to call in if you have any things that you want to talk about. I want to share with you, again, an article from Cayman Times, and this is February the 11th, 1957. And as you may have heard before, they featured something called the Girl of the Week, and that article was written by one of the reporters in the Cayman Times. And the Girl of the Week for the 11th of February 1957 it reads, I took a turn this week over in West Bay to find my Girl of the Week, and I came up with a pearl, 19-year-old Glennis Ebanks, to whom West Bay is the beginning and the end of the world. And I don't blame her, for Glennis was born in West Bay, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Henry Ackerman Ebanks, was schooled at the West Bay Government School and is quite satisfied to push the long years that lie ahead for her beautiful life in this little paradise of a place. Glennis is a member of the Pilgrim Holiness Church, fills with grace and charm the exciting job of a receptionist at the Galleon Beach Club. Dance fan. She is fond of swimming, dressing, and how she can dress. That's an exclamation. And how she can dress. And dancing, especially to the exciting rhythms of rock and roll. In fact, she has a passion for music that tingles out of her bones to give her a vital, eager personality that makes her one of West Bay's proudest daughters. Glennis also loves the movies, rates Clark Gable and Anne Blythe as her favorite stars. She lets, I'm trying to get that part, lets doff her hats. Oh, so we lift off our hats to Glennis Ebanks. Boys, the Girl of the Week with the loyal eyes and the heart-shaped, encrusting mouth. So that was she was the Girl of the Week in February the 11th, 1957, Miss Glennis Ebanks. And she would be the sister of Mr. Rupert Ackerman, as well as the sister of Miss Trina May and also Miss Daphne Orrett. as well. Also, Patty Ackerman would be sisters as well. So Miss Glennis Ebanks. So if you didn't recognize the name as Glennis Ebanks, she would also have been Miss Glennis Ackerman as well. So belated congratulations to Miss Glennis. In 1957, I was only 6 years old. At that point in time, just turned 6 as a matter of fact. This was February 11th. My birthday would have been on February 5th. So again, congratulations to her. And that is coming from the Cayman Times newspaper. Let's see what else we have that we can share with you. In 1966, possibly 1967, we had, 1967. Lots happening as far as planning in the Cayman Islands is concerned. And we had a group of planners in to talk about planning. I hope I will have enough time to share that with you as well. Then there was also a situation where, and I think I spoke about this once before, the appeals process. And this will help you to understand and highlight some of the difficulties that we had with Jamaica making laws for us. But you've heard Dr. Steve Macfield talk about we here in the Cayman Islands making laws for ourselves in the early days, in the early 1900s as well, maybe even before then. But there was a situation where there were several appeals that were thrown out by the Court of Appeals when they came to the Cayman Islands because the filing fee of £2 had not been paid. And we had a law in the Cayman Islands where it didn't call for that £2 to be paid, but the Jamaica legislation that was made for the Cayman Islands required those £2 to be paid. They were not paid, and many appeals were refused as a result of that. I think one of those appeals, you would have heard me, you would have to have good memory when we were talking, Dr. Macfield and I were talking about the Majal's case. That was a case where the late Shirley Macfield had a Grand Court case over land with a gentleman by the name of Smith. That would have been Miss Ardith Smith's husband for a land in West Bay called Majal's. And Mr. Shirley had won that case, and they were seeking to appeal it, but the appeal was refused simply because those fees had not been paid. Time for us to take a commercial break. When we have a call before. Let's take the caller before we go to the break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, see, I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
I know, all the stuff that's going on, this thing that I might bring up might seem a bit, well, I was not trivial, but anyway, what I call about, the roundabout by Grand Harbor, Hurley's roundabout is referred to it, right?
Yes.
I don't know, because I know some of these roundabouts have been taken on by various corporate entities or whatever to maintain or to beautify,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that one used to be the DMS group was dealing with that.
Yes, I think so, because they did have a sign up there as well.
Yes, they had the electronic thing there, which I thought was a bad idea to begin
Distracting,
with.
yes.
And see, it ended up coming to nothing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's just the state of that place, man. It really needs tidying up, cleaning up, fixing up, whatever. So I'm just appealing to whoever it is that's in charge, whether it's still DMS or whoever it is, they need to do something about that, man. It really looks, overgrown and it looks bad.
Yeah, I think you're likely to see some readjustment to that roundabout, because what appears to be happening from a traffic perspective, caller, is that people coming from the Crew Road area are now going through Old Crew Road, joining the traffic on South Sound Road, Red Bay Road there, and then coming in order to go east rather than staying on the where the Lion Center is, they're going the other way. So I think there is some thought about realignment of that roundabout to ensure that the coming from Crew Road, that becomes the major thoroughfare as opposed to South Sound, because it seems as if the traffic coming from South Sound has a preference because we have less traffic coming from the east in the evenings when everyone is heading east, so they have a preference there. But you have a very good point. I think a lot of those roundabouts probably need some changing. I believe now what is happening is that you need more lanes in those roundabouts, and we have been too generous with the size of the roundabouts that we have if you really want traffic to move. Of course, I'm not a traffic expert.
But exactly, and like you said, and speaking of roundabouts, I mean, we're overrun with them. But I always wonder too, like the one up by the car wash. You have 3 lanes, but yet 1 lane is blocked off.
Yes.
You'd have those cone things around it. So why pave it and make it go through all the expense to do that if you're going to block off 1 lane? And but anyway. Like you said, that's for them to try and figure out why they're killing us at roundabouts.
Oh yes, they certainly are.
But I just thought I'd bring that one up because every time I cross, it kind of gets to me. All right.
Thank you very much. You enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Turtling was once the paramount occupation of the early Caymanian settlers. The first economic system of the islands was a basic one, but one that afforded external dispersing. Turtles and turtle products were bartered to outside customers, who in turn supplied British wares, clothing, tools, fishing apparatus, and other manufactured necessities. Caymanians did not only fish their own waters, but also regularly sailed to the southern coast of Cuba, so much that due to the overfishing of Cayman waters, by 1800, 9 20 to 30 ton vessels were turtling exclusively off the coast of Cuba. After the Cuba waters became sparse, the fishers continued their pursuit further south to the Mosquito Key and the Central American coast.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced from the Maritime Heritage of the Cayman Islands by Roger C. Smith.
Radio Cayman's Historical Facts Vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
When you need stability, think Business of the Year.
Considering a new career opportunity, think Best Place to Work.
When dependability matters, think Outstanding Workforce.
In need of a reliable financial partner? Think Bank of the Year.
When you seek excellence, think Cayman National.
No matter how many accomplishments we achieve, we always set the bar higher. That's why we are the most awarded bank in Cayman, and we are proud to be your
2018 Bank of the Year.
They say cleaning your house never killed anyone, but why take chances? Spend your time doing what you love and leave the rest to Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential with 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Take back your life and get the job done right the first time. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511.
I remember playing at 7 Mile Beach as a boy, eating mango by the sea, learning how to snorkel. My mother, she worked so hard to provide for our family so that we could have those moments. Seeing her age has been tough. That strong, capable woman, now in need of daily support, it's my time to be strong for her.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of the careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Wow, it seems I buy a battery every year.
Oh, for real? You should buy your car battery from Vampman. Their batteries are tough. I have a 3-year warranty on mine.
Oh, I know that trick. I take it back and they charge me a percentage of the price.
Hear me out, bro. Not at Vamp Bobo. You can get a 3-year full warranty, no charge. And if they install it at Vamp, it includes free towing and jumping service. And let me tell you, you will never have to get your hands dirty changing no battery.
Get Motorcraft Max or Plus battery for 20% off when it's installed by the service department at Vamp Motors on Walker's Road. Now that's a deal you can get charged up about. Vamp Motors, keeping you on the road.
Extended through June.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All-Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm sharing with you articles from our old local newspapers, be it the Cayman Times or the Trade Winds. This one is from the Trade Winds newspaper, the 24th of June, 1967, and it's talking about planning and things to come. And, of course, planning issues are very topical in the Cayman Islands these days, and top of the list, of course, is the Georgetown Revitalization project. So this should be very instructive for you. The editorial on that date, the 24th of June, 1967, reads, on the subject of planning, once again, we carry a report elsewhere in this issue of an interview with the man responsible for preparing the overall master plan, which will largely determine the shape of things to come in the Cayman Islands. He was insistent that the final choice in planning would rest with the Caymanian people. 1967, they said it would rest with the Caymanian people. Let's see what happens in 2019, whether or not it will still rest with the Caymanian people. And I speak specifically of the port project. Let's see what happens with that. So I will continue to read, and I will repeat that part. He was insistent that the final choice in the planning would rest with the Caymanian people. This is all very well to say, but the big trouble is that, like the present regional planning board, the average citizen doesn't know his elbow from a hole in the ground, to misquote the vernacular when it comes to town planning. It seems to us that we can only lift up our eyes to the United Nations organization, which is so graciously donating our master plan to us, and hope and believe that they at least know what they are talking about. Nevertheless, it would be a good idea if we, the public, could be given some guidance in the matter, and we would ask the government to find out if there is any published material, such as films or articles or exhibitions, which could be made available to the island. We also think that the government should publish the outline plan for Georgetown, which the United Nations project has already submitted and which is at present being used by the Regional Planning Board in making decisions. We believe that the public has a right to know what this plan contains, and in any case, presuming its main outline is going to be incorporated into the overall development plan, its publication will give the public more time to consider its merits. The subject of planning cannot be overemphasized. We live on an island with a beautiful shoreline, but otherwise devoid of topographical features. The future appearance of this rapidly developing island will be exactly what man makes of it, nothing more and nothing less. Now, doesn't that sound like the Cayman Islands of 2019, the same issues that we are addressing? The only criticism that I have of this is that we were still relying on outside experts, in this particular case, the United Nations, for them to bring in a planner to tell us what we should be doing, despite the editorial's call to ensure that Caymanians had a say in that. And of course, 1967, we probably didn't have anyone who was qualified in town planning and things of that nature. 1967, Mr. Donovan Ebanks, Mr. Colford Scott, I believe, were still in school. 1967, 68, Colford would have probably graduated and then gone on to university after that. So we really didn't have any qualified engineers as such in the Cayman Islands. We had good engineers, people who were in charge of public works and everything, but we didn't really have anyone with a tertiary education in that field. So, but this resonates so much like 2019, where we're talking about the same issues. We're talking about the people having a say in what's going to be going on, because it has ramifications in terms of future costs to the people of the Cayman Islands, as well as benefits to the Cayman Islands, people of the Cayman Islands as well. But the whole issue of planning was on the table then. And it goes to show you that if we do not plan, and I saw another article where this plan was basically looking 20 years ahead. Folks, we have to start looking much farther ahead than 20 years. We see it so many times. We see it with our airport. 1983, 1984, 83, moved in, built a new terminal, moved into it around 1984, 1985. Before we moved into that airport terminal, we had already outgrown it. We have to start looking much farther into the future in terms of planning as well. So that is what I've been able to share with you this morning. When we return from the 8 o'clock news, we will be talking about the pre-joint ministerial council meeting, and we'll be talking about UCODA as well. So don't change that dial. Listen to the 8 o'clock news, which is usually quite substantive, coming from Radio Cayman, one of the best news organizations in the country. And when we return, the discussion will continue. Please stay tuned.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time by Price Right is 7:59.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products, from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
the voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access. Information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm Shanda Gallego with your latest news. The Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing would like to clarify that visitors to the Cayman Islands are no longer required to pay 16 CI dollars for a permit in order to drive legally on the roads. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has more.
The DVDL says that some insurance companies have been suggesting visitors to the Cayman Islands need to obtain a visitor permit before they're legally covered by their insurance. But the DVDL says that is not the case, as per Section 29.2 of the traffic law, expanded to cover new residents as well as visitors. Basically, people from countries stated under the Geneva Convention are allowed to drive in other listed countries, as long as they have a current valid foreign driver's license of the same vehicle group. So what this means is a visitor to the Cayman Islands can drive on their foreign license without purchasing a separate permit, as long as that license is valid and they're qualified to drive the same vehicle at home. Visitors who do not have a domestic license from a convention country or an international driver's permit will have to pass a written and road test before they're allowed to drive in the islands. And one more thing, the Vehicle Insurance Third-Party Risks Law, the 2012 revision, does not require people to have a Cayman Islands driver's license in order to qualify for insurance coverage, since there is no requirement by law for a visitor permit to be issued in order to drive. In the past, the DVDL had issued visitor permits under the traffic law, but this is no longer required. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
May saw a total of 40,591 visitors to Cayman's shores. This week at the Chamber of Commerce Economic Forum, Tourism Director Rosa Harris revealed the record tourism numbers for the month of May. But Mrs. Harris has a caveat.
At DOT, we're all nervous about these numbers because when you soar, there's only one way you can go. So we just want to caveat that we're not saying that we will keep this momentum, but we'll ride the wave while we have it.
Mrs. Harris says that the 13% growth was attributed to recent decisions from the tourism department, like the added flight route from Denver to Grand Cayman, and says that her department is working to find a way to ensure that all stakeholders and businesses in the tourism industry continue to profit and new business gets the right support to grow in the industry. Turning to regional news now, Jamaica has said farewell to former Prime Minister Edward Seaga at a funeral service Sunday. Here's Carib Update's Wendy Chateau with more.
His nephew, Metri Seaga, who gave the tribute on behalf of the Seaga family, said the former Prime Minister sacrificed his well-being and family to devote to the development of Jamaica. Prime Minister Andrew Holness said Seaga dedicated his life to the poor. One of Seaga's fiercest political rivals, former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson, remembered him as a dedicated statesman. The service was also punctuated by musical selections from the university singers. Following the church service, an 8-member bearer party lifted the casket of Seaga and carried it outside onto a gun carriage, which then transported the casket to its burial spot at National Heroes Park. Regional leaders, Grenada's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, Turks and Caicos Islands Premier Charlene Cartwright Robinson, and Premier Aldin McLaughlin from the Cayman Islands also laid wreaths.
We now turn to the BBC with a check of international news. That's it from me. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm Shanda Gallego.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. The United Nations Human Rights Chief says the thousands of Islamic State fighters and their families detained in Syria and Iraq must be put on trial or released. Michelle Bachelet said the home countries of foreign fighters should take responsibility for them and their children should be repatriated. The US Secretary of State has been meeting the leaders of Saudi Arabia to discuss the issue of Iran as the US prepares to impose new sanctions on Tehran. Russia has denounced the new sanctions as illegal and says it will work to counter them. The British television channel Sky News says it will cancel a debate between the two Conservative candidates hoping to replace the Prime Minister if the front-runner, Boris Johnson, does not agree to take part. Jeremy Hunt earlier called his rival a coward for avoiding the debate. State media in Ethiopia are reporting that the police have shot dead the man alleged to have been the mastermind of a failed coup attempt in the Amhara region. Brigadier General Asamnew Tsegay, who was Amhara's security chief, was killed on the outskirts of the regional capital. BBC News.
Access. Information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Place household garbage in large bags prior to its placement in a garbage container to avoid spillage during collection. A suitable garbage container must be made of sturdy materials that will allow it to withstand weathering. A tightly fitted cover is also necessary to keep out water and stray animals. Do your part. Keep your surroundings clean. Store household garbage in a suitable garbage container. For more tips on proper waste packaging, please visit DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Stay up to date with the latest in healthy living and fitness trends every Saturday morning at 9:30 and Wednesday at 7 p.m. For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Most clinics in the United States, they kind of like one surgery fits all. You're saying, that's not necessary. That's not going to be the case with me. And that's good to hear.
For the Health of It is proudly brought to you by GNC. Join the GNC community and take advantage of their discount days. The first 7 business days of every month and every Wednesday. GNC. Believe in the power of nutrition.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky. New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Super Stitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Super Stitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
A pleasant good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 90%. Barometric pressure 29.97 inches and rising. The wind is northeast at 3 knots. Overnight low temperature was 82 degrees. Synopsis indicate light easterly winds and slight seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with a weak pressure gradient across the Caribbean. Hazy conditions are also expected to persist over the next few days. Radar images show isolated showers over the Cayman area moving west. Now, the forecast for today calling for fair but hazy skies with less than 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will be in the lower 90s. Your winds will be east to northeast 10 to 15 knots and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for fair to partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, mainly over Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, and temperatures falling to the upper 70s tonight. Your winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Low tide will be this morning at 9:38, high tide again this afternoon at 8 minutes past 4, and a low tide again tonight at 9:43. The sun will set this evening at 5 minutes past 7 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:50. And the outlook through Wednesday morning is calling for similar weather conditions.
Superstitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Superstitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky. New stock has just arrived at Superstitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Superstitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Superstitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look what's happening on our roads. Traffic busy on the Linford-Pearson Highway. Slight delays expected as you're heading down to Georgetown. Little steady traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way as well as on Huldah Avenue. Thomas Russell Way traffic is flowing light to moderate. And light to moderate traffic flow as well coming from the Westway 4-way stop. On Edward Street and Shedden Road, things aren't looking too bad as traffic flowing nicely. Godfrey Nixon Way, no issues there as traffic is light, as well as on Easton Avenue. On the Westway Road in front of the Ritz, traffic flowing moderately in both directions. And on North Sound Road coming from the Butterfield roundabout heading towards the Industrial Park area, traffic is moderate. And on Cool Road, little steady traffic, but nothing to worry about too much. And traffic steady coming off of the Linford-Pearson Highway on Agnes Way. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll give you an update on what's happening traffic-wise. Have a good morning. Buckle up.
Hi, I'm Dawn McLean-Brady, President of the Cayman Islands Small Business Association, better known as CISPA. Small businesses drive Cayman's economy. As small business owners, we're meant to create an environment where we, as entrepreneurs, can do what we do best, and that's to provide products and services that are valuable to our customers and, in turn, employ others. The cruise piers and cargo ports provide these opportunities. Encourage our government to build a port and let the Caymanian entrepreneurial spirit shine. Support the port, support our tourism.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by
Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you.
This week at Kirk Home Center, stay cool through the summer months with a 52-inch ceiling fan from Hunter for $101.99. Get an incredibly smooth and scratch-free finish on woodworking, plastic, or metal projects with DeWalt's Orbit Sander for $75.99. Save time and energy and get a professional finish with a pancake air compressor for $175.09. And spice up your home dining set with 16-piece dinnerware sets starting at $31.99.
Kirk's Home Center. Got a great deal in store for you.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me now none other than Mr. Eric Bush, who is the Cayman Islands representative in the UK. He's in charge of our London office, but Mr. Bush is wearing two hats now because he's also the chief officer in the Ministry of International Trade, Investment, Aviation, and Maritime Affairs as well. So wearing two hats at this point in time. I believe at some point in time you probably will be relieved of one of those hats, but we can talk about all about that. The last time I saw Mr. Bush, we were participating in that ride from Saint-Tropez
That's right.
to Monaco, 140 kilometers, a distance that you had never ridden before. But before all of that, I'd like to say good morning, Mr. Bush, and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. Thank you for having me again. It's a pleasure to be
back here in the studio, and of course it's a pleasure to be home again.
Yes. Now there are lots of activities going on in the Cayman Islands, and I want you to give our listeners and our viewers a preview of what we're going to be discussing, and then we want to start off talking about UKOTA, which is the United Kingdom Overseas Territories Association.
Sure. So the reason I'm here this week is the Premier is hosting a number of meetings and events which are bringing together all of the leaders, political leaders of the overseas territories, which make up the membership of UKOTA, the UK Overseas Territories Association. The first meeting is on Wednesday, where he is hosting the pre-Joint Ministerial Council meeting with all of the overseas territory leaders. This meeting now is designed, it's an annual meeting, and it's held in London and in other overseas territories. So on Wednesday, the leaders will be talking about what was discussed and achieved at the last Joint Ministerial Council meeting which happened in December of last year in London, and then look to see what items and what agenda items they want to discuss in the coming Joint Ministerial Council meeting set for end of November of this year in London. The reason this is important is this is the formal annual meeting that gives overseas territory leaders an individual and collective opportunity to raise issues with the UK government and vice versa. I mean, it's just like any good relationship, you have to have set times in which you want to discuss, and this is the formal structure that is in place, and it works well. Issues to be discussed will be, of course, the UK's issues with Brexit, who the next Prime Minister will be, what policy changes, if any, will affect the overseas territories, whether it be by region, the Caribbean, or in the South Atlantic, in Gibraltar, etc. Then on Thursday and half a day on Friday, the Premier and Lord Ahmad, the Minister for the Overseas Territories, is co-hosting the inaugural UK and Overseas Territories International Trade Summit, whereby we bring together and utilize the attendance of all the leaders here and talk about how we can leverage the experience, the expertise, and opportunities with the UK and other overseas territories for the advancement of international trade and investment for the overseas territories. And then on Friday afternoon, Lord Ahmad, being here, will host a joint ministerial council meeting around Brexit, whereby Brexit will be the discussion point, what the latest developments are, what the latest plans are as it relates to how it can affect the overseas territories, and give, again, the overseas territory leaders an opportunity to formally represent their feelings, what they're seeing in our context.
Let's talk a little bit more about Brexit. Since you mentioned that, because you've been in the UK and you've been around, influential people who know, to a certain extent, know what's happening as far as Brexit. Some people will say no one knows, what's happening. But in terms of your role as the Cayman Islands representative in the UK, attending party conferences and things of that nature, how important is that role in the UK, being a representative there?
Certainly, I mean, I didn't truly appreciate, even when I asked and accepted the role, how important it was going to be. Keep in mind, when this was considered by me and my family, Brexit was not known.
Right.
The announcement for us to go happened in early February 2016, and about 3 weeks after that, David Cameron, the then Prime Minister, announced the referendum to happen on the 23rd of June. So certainly to my shock, and a lot in Cayman and around the world, the referendum carried, and the UK voted to leave the European Union. So when my family and I got there on the 1st of July, the UK politically was in utter chaos. And I don't mean to be flagrant about that. It literally was, where you had a leadership contest similar to what's going on now, because David Cameron, literally the morning after the referendum, in front of Number 10, said to the nation, to the world, that because of this, he is not the captain to steer the great ship of Britain out of the EU. So he resigned then and there. And now we have a similar situation whereby Mrs. May, she won that contest at that time, 3 years on, essentially saying, okay, yeah, I've tried my best, but I have agreed a withdrawal agreement with the UK, and I can't get it past my own parliament. With the EU, excuse me. And I cannot get it past my own parliament. And parliament is supreme. Therefore, she said, well, I've tried my best, but I'm moving aside now for someone else. And now we have two individuals. Both were foreign secretaries. Now we have Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt is the current foreign secretary. So both individuals have had indirect responsibility, if I can call it that, for the overseas territories. And I've met both individuals and formed a certain level of relationship with them. And of course, the Premier has had an official bilateral meeting with Boris Johnson when he was the Foreign Secretary.
Okay.
So all this to say that whoever the next Prime Minister will be, he will know of the Cayman Islands. We have access into the Prime Minister's office through relationships. So as we all traverse through Brexit, because whilst the Cayman Islands is not part of the EU, we do have a direct constitutional relationship with the UK. So as we all traverse through Brexit, the relationships that have been created over the last 3 years will help Cayman be represented now as this all unfolds.
And hopefully, if Boris Johnson becomes the Prime Minister, not only the Cayman Islands, but other overseas territories as well, because when he was Foreign Secretary, I think after the devastation of Hurricane Irma and the other hurricane, he did visit the Eastern Caribbean and, became somewhat familiar with what was happening there, and some of them are still experiencing some challenges as well. That's right,
and it's keen it's important to accept the sort of differences in personality of the two individuals. And Boris, what's I found, he's quite a unique individual. He does tend to care about issues and smaller issues that perhaps other foreign secretaries have not shown an overt caring about, like traveling to BVI and Anguilla, etc. He was the one. When he was Foreign Secretary, we had and we were celebrating the 60-year anniversary of the coat of arms. We had a large reception and celebration in the Foreign Office in Durbar Court, and we had over 500 people attend. And of course, the Premier, the then leader of the opposition, the Honourable Ezard Miller, and the Speaker and other representatives attended the swanky kitchen band. It was really a fantastic event. But Boris, as the Foreign Secretary, spoke at that. We invited him. He didn't have to accept. But he chose to speak as the Foreign Secretary to relay personally how important he felt the bond and relationship was between the United Kingdom and the Cayman Islands. And it was a proud moment for us all, not just because he was there, but mostly because we had such a large Caymanian contingent represented in the Foreign Office, which is the department in the UK, of course, that's responsible for managing, if I can call it that, the relationship.
Before we go to our commercial break, while we're still on this topic, I'd like you to talk about the importance of having connections with other entities, especially parliamentarians in the UK, Friends of Cayman, the all-party group. How important that liaison is for the Cayman Islands.
Well, understanding that we do, and I keep going back to it because this is the foundation of it, of our Constitution, and what that says and how that lays out what the relationship is between the Cayman Islands and the UK. Understanding that Parliament, the UK Parliament, is supreme in this relationship. We don't have a representative in the House of Lords. We don't have a representative in the House of Commons. So we rely on relationships with individuals, with MPs and with peers to understand who we are. And as matters come up within Parliament, whether it looks to directly affect the Cayman Islands and other overseas territories, or just general UK policy and legislation, if we are at the forefront of their mind, or at least they know who we are, and we have individuals who are friendly to us through the Friends of Cayman and then through the all-party parliamentary group, that gives us then the best level of representation that we can achieve under the current circumstances. And that is why when I started 3 years ago, my first priority was to reestablish the Cayman Islands All-Party Parliamentary Group, which was chaired and is chaired by Sir Graham Brady.
Right.
And happy to say and announce...
He's a very powerful man.
He is. And through our engagement, since I've been here, I have assisted with familiarization visits for MPs and peers. And I'm happy to say that we have a number of MPs and peers coming this week as well, and Sir Graham is one of those. Another one is Sir Michael Fallon. Sir Michael Fallon was a previous chairman of our APPG, but more...
Defense minister as well?
Yes. More recently, he was a Minister of Defense, Defense Secretary. So, again, very influential, very seasoned politicians, and individuals that are listened to when they choose to speak. And if they're speaking positively about the Cayman Islands, and if they're speaking in defense, if that's needed, people listen to them. So that's why we're doing this.
So what do we say to those people who sometimes are critical when we do fund trips for parliamentarians to be here, to come to the Cayman Islands, the importance of them not just hearing about the Cayman Islands, but coming here and seeing how we function, how we operate, and just seeing the fact that there are people, there are people, human beings in the Cayman Islands that their decisions over in the UK have a profound effect on.
I guess what I would say to that is Cayman has been built on relationships. Cayman is a service-based economy. We're a people-based economy. If you look at what we manufacture, what we mainly manufacture is good people, and so especially if we look, and we talked about it earlier, if we look at the 60-year anniversary of the Constitution as a birthday for Cayman, and that's 60 years in Cayman's current form with a direct relationship with the UK. Understanding that we've gone from strength to strength of when at that time we were about 8,000 to 10,000 people. Now we're 68 to almost 70,000 people. And that has been largely because we have a certain level of self-government, because we have responsible individuals within government over the last 60 years, but also because we have that relationship with the UK. We see our closest neighbour and family member of Jamaica, whereby they decided to go independent. Their history over the last 60 years has been different, whereby their economy and their population has fluctuated or sort of stagnated. So it's about understanding where we've come from. It's understanding the relationship that we have with the UK, and that's by choice. And if you understand that reality, then it's our responsibility to maintain and improve that relationship with individuals who are within that supreme chamber of Parliament.
Definitely. Time for us to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation with Mr. Eric Bush will continue, so please stay tuned.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, formerly known as Professional Pharmacy, would like to thank the Cayman communities for their loyal support these past 18 years. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care. Thorough background checks and follow-up consultations is only the beginning. Your safety is our concern. Our staff are respected healthcare professionals whose job requires careful and precise calculations. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, where we prepare to provide exceptional care. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we care about your health.
They say cleaning your house never killed anyone, but why take chances? Spend your time doing what you love and leave the rest to Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential with 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Take back your life and get the job done right the first time. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
At Logic, we make things better for our customers. It's why we're offering free Boost Wi-Fi. With Boost, you get improved Wi-Fi connectivity everywhere in your home, so there's no more dead zones. The only people we're not making this better for is parents. Because now with seamless Wi-Fi in every room in your home, go to your room isn't really the punishment it used to be. Sorry about that. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It's my pleasure to have in the studio with me Mr. Eric Bush, who is the Cayman Islands representative in the UK, heads up our London office. That is going to change in maybe in a few weeks. But he is also the chief officer in the Ministry of International Trade, Investment, Aviation, and Maritime Affairs. We're talking about the pre-joint ministerial council meeting to be held in the Cayman Islands, amongst other things, trade fair, and also we're talking about UCODA, and I may pronounce it differently than Mr. Bush does. For the benefit of our listening and viewing audience, the member territories of UCODA are Ascension, Bermuda, British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, the Falkland Islands, Gibraltar, Montserrat, Pitcairn Islands, St. Helena, Tristan da Cunha, and the Turks and Caicos Islands as well. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic back over to Mr. Bush. I want to remind our listeners that we have opened our phone lines. Our phone lines are open if you have any questions, any observations that you may want to pose to Mr. Bush while he's in the studio as well. Mr. Bush.
Thank you for that again, Mr. Connor, and thank you for those who are listening. So the main purpose of UCOTA is to come together and be a formal mechanism for all the overseas territory representatives in the UK to discuss issues and see where we can find similarities or create synergies for initiatives and advancement in the relationship with the overseas territories and the UK government. Anguilla is also on that list. They've just rejoined UCOTA, so I think I'll remind the now chair that she needs to update the website.
Yes,
because we certainly wouldn't want to exclude our cousins of Anguilla. But as you listed out the names there of all the membership, it sort of attunes the mind to how spread out and diverse the overseas territories are. I mean, we have the cluster of Caribbean overseas territories, and we also include Bermuda in that context as well. But you have Gibraltar, which is literally in Europe. You have St. Helena, Pitcairn, Ascension, and the Falkland Islands, which are in the South Pacific, etc. So, you know, it is fascinating to see the diversity in the groupings when you have all of the leaders and delegations there. But what brings us all together is that we are all British overseas territories, and which means that we all have a very similar constitutional relationship. We have very diverse and different histories in how we became British overseas territories, but the similarities are that we are all governed within the same legal system. I think all of us still drive on the left, but yeah, it is fascinating to see the room and see the individuals but then once we start talking about issues whereby the character and the foundations, that's when you really start to see the similarities.
Yes, definitely.
So. As we move on this week, I think I dare say it that this is the largest level, highest level of concentration of political representation that the Cayman Islands has ever hosted. We have hosted a pre-JMC before, but now we have UK ministers coming, and we've had that as well, but again singularly. So we have all of the leaders for the overseas territories here. We have UK ministers here. We have members of Parliament with Sir Graham Brady and Sir Michael Fallon. We also have a number of peers coming over. And we also have members of the Commonwealth. So at the Trade Summit specifically, we're looking to trash out, and what we're looking to achieve is to have a constructive conversation about what international trade looks like for each overseas territory and how we can diversify our economies by learning from each other, and where there is relevant cooperation, whether it be bilaterally or multilaterally, to exploit those opportunities for the purpose of advancing, strengthening, and broadening our economies.
Okay, we have one caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. In the UN Convention, Article 73E, it talks about the administering power being obligated to look out for our interests. But in Section 33(1), I think it is, of our Constitution, or their Constitution for us, it says that the governor, when carrying out his responsibilities, should look out for the interests of the Cayman Islands so long as those interests are consistent with the interests of the United Kingdom, which isn't exactly the same thing that's said in the UN Convention. I'm wondering if any of those types of things are going to be examined, because in light of Brexit, because I mean, I'm following what's going on in the UK quite closely, and it seems to me like the empire is getting ready to shine brightly again, and I'm wondering when our interests is going to be respected instead of their interest.
Good point, caller. Thank you very much for that. We have one other caller, so what we do, we'll take that call. We're likely to go to a commercial break afterwards, and then we will have Mr. Bush respond to both callers. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Orrett Connor.
Good morning, sir.
Listen, good morning to Mr. Eric Bush.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, I have a question. After Brexit, will that affect the value of the pound? And as a overseas territory, would that affect the value of our dollar here in Cayman also? Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you very much, caller. I think we have enough time that we can start to respond before.
Well, I can certainly say that the effect of the referendum itself has dramatically affected the value of the pound. From on the 23rd of June to the 24th of June in 2016, the pound went from, I think it was 149 US dollars to £1, and on the literally within 3 hours it dropped 19 cents.
Wow.
And since then, over the 3 years, it's gone from almost being on par with the CI dollar to 120, 125, and up. I think the highest it's been is 133. So Brexit, whether Brexit itself happens, will that affect the value of the pound? I don't know, but I can certainly say that the result of the referendum and the way in which the process is happening has negatively affected the pound. In relation to the CI dollar, our legislators many years ago, when they created the Cayman Islands dollar, I think very wisely fixed it to the US dollar. Mm-hmm. So the US dollar, that in itself has its own peculiarities and issues, particularly with the current administration. But Brexit itself would not affect Cayman's currency.
Okay. On the other caller's question in relation to Article 73 of the UN Charter and some of the provisions in our Constitution in mm-hmm. relation to the governor's role and his commitment to the Cayman Islands, as long as it doesn't conflict with his commitment to the UK.
I mean, I think what I can say about that is that the two things that are retained by the UK government in the Constitution, the current Constitution, is internal defence and external relations. And when we're talking about international treaties and agreements, they are responsible for looking out for our interests in that regard. Now, I can say through specifically with Lord Ahmad as the current Minister for the Overseas Territories, he has looked to strengthen the organisation whereby the UK government interacts and consults with the overseas territories when they're entering into these international treaties. Prior to that, there's certainly been evidence whereby we were not considered, and it was just done, and it was, this does affect the overseas territories, so sort of bluntly pushed on us. That is something that he has acknowledged is not correct, and is working towards creating a structure whereby any type of legislation or policy or treaty that is being considered that affects the overseas territories, we are consulted prior to, and then have the ability to feed in what we think about it or whether we're accepting of it. The governor is the Queen's representative. That's why the position exists. But the creation, of the new Ministry of International Trade, Investment, Aviation and Maritime Affairs shows the acceptance of the UK government that Brexit will strain their bandwidth, particularly around international relations. Mm-hmm. And it's widely accepted, and it's just natural that they will look out for their interests first. I think we need to be quite grown up about that.
As long as we remain an overseas territory,
that's
then,
right. We will be secondary mm-hmm. in these cases, and that's just the reality, and that's it's a sort of same thing. When you're in an airplane, they say if you need oxygen, the oxygen mask, come down. put your mask on first
before you assist
anyone. Yeah, you can't help others unless you can help yourself. So.
But as you pointed out, depending on the minister and sometimes the party that is in control in the UK, that will determine the amount of flexibility that is allowed. And we see in certain instances where they become quite tight in terms of the latitude that they give us.
Yes.
And usually with a conservative government, you see a little bit more liberalization of that. And depending also on the individual minister, that minister's understanding, of that. And Lord Ahmad, knowing his background, his ancestry and stuff like that will certainly have a certain amount of affinity, as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the most shocking times of me being in the UK was when it was right before I was giving evidence to the Foreign Affairs Committee. And it was Chris Bryant, who is a previous Overseas Territories Minister.
Tell us about him.
He's a very he's very liberal in his views. He is a member of Labour. But the most shocking part was when he was questioning a previous governor of Bermuda. And he said, the overseas territories are a remnant of the old colonial era, and essentially they're irrelevant, and we shouldn't have them anymore. The fact that he felt so emboldened to say that, and he has been in overseas territories. He's also the minister that suspended or revoked the Turks and Caicos constitution. So for him to say the overseas territories are an old remnants of the colonial era and act as such a colonialist, it was quite shocking to me. But I just say that to make the point that it is personality driven. Sometimes it's unfortunate, but that, coming back to the point we made earlier, that is why it is so important for the Cayman Islands to have these strategic relationships with members of Parliament. So when individuals feel that they can throw comments like that away, you have your friends coming back and say that's just wrong, and putting them in check, so to speak.
Excellent point, folks. Please stay tuned for the record, and the conversation with Mr. Eric Bush will continue after this short commercial break.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work, guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip, Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Wow, it seems I buy a battery every year.
Oh, for real? You should buy your car battery from Vantman. Their batteries are tough. I have a 3-year warranty on mine.
Oh, I know that trick. I take it back and they charge me a percentage of the price.
Hear me out, bro. Not at Vamp Bobo. You can get a 3-year full warranty, no charge. And if they install it at Vamp, It includes free towing and jumping service. And let me tell you, you will never have to get your hands dirty changing no battery.
Get Motorcraft Max or Plus battery for 20% off when it's installed by the service department at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road. Now that's a deal you can get charged up about. Vamp Motors, keeping you on the road.
Extended through June. Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have about 10 more minutes with Mr. Eric Bush, who is still the Cayman Islands representative in the United Kingdom, but he's also the chief officer in the Ministry of International Trade, Investment, Aviation, and Maritime Affairs. Mr. Bush.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me on. Certainly, if any caller has a question or comment, it's more than welcome. I think as we move forward, particularly with the new ministry, as we look to represent ourselves internationally, the engagement with the public is going to be paramount importance. So just to talk about what the ministry has been up to, as we heard the Premier state, the government policy was to look to establish a Cayman Islands government office in Asia. So we have been actively working on that in partnership with the Governor's Office to open an Asia office later this year. So we hope that is progressing very, very well. We hope I'm actively recruiting for a representative for Asia to go over and represent Cayman, represent Cayman's interests, and look to, again, enhance the image of the Cayman Islands and look to create those strategic relationships, whether it be political, whether it be social, or commercial. Yeah. So it's been a busy time for us, and but very rewarding, not least as we look to celebrate the 60-year anniversary of the Constitution. It gives us an opportunity to reflect on where Cayman has come from in those 60 years. As we were talking about earlier, and as you were speaking, reading those pieces from the Cayman Times. It was from some 50 years ago. We were talking about development and investment and who's helping us in the United Nations, et cetera, et cetera. Just a key statistic I think is interesting to note. 60 years ago, the population of Cayman was under 10,000. We're 60 years in, we're reaching up to almost 70,000. And not to say something personal or supported or that it'll happen, but if you look at the past to dictate where the future is going to take you, and you look at that level of growth, that puts Cayman in 60 years, could put Cayman at over 500,000 people. Now it's sort of mind-boggling. I get, and as I said, this is not something that I'm supporting. I'm simply saying this is the
projections. It could be,
and the trajectory that Cayman took 60 years ago, from under 10,000 to almost 70,000, but understanding that trajectory, and I think if we look at ourselves now, and as I said before, if I had asked my father, who was just about to turn 20 at that time, or my grandfather, which had been 40 odd, to say, Cayman is going to be at 70,000 people in 2019, I would imagine they would have said, no way, no, our little island, we got perhaps words of protection is in there, or no, that that just feels uncomfortable. And again, this isn't me saying this is where we're going to go. I'm just saying what I am trying to say is this is the reason why we need to look ahead. And that's why it is important to, as you were saying, to think about what the development needs are for the country, what people want the country to be. And as we go out to represent the Cayman Islands internationally as a ministry, it's going to be key for us to understand and have those constructive conversations going forward to make sure we're representing us.
Okay. Now, in leaving the London office, can you speak to some of the challenges, as well as some of the good things that your replacement can look forward to as far as being the UK representative?
I think
Cayman Islands representative.
Yeah, I think that the greatest challenge was simply being away from home for so long. You're 4,500 miles away. The strength for me is the core of my family, and always having them there. But being away from your other family or your other close friends, and trying to remain connected, because that's one of the things I've found is of paramount importance. And it was actually the previous governor, John Owen. He met with me early on in my tenure. He said, Eric, the thing you need to do is always remain connected with Cayman. And I must say, it's through technology. it's through WhatsApp groups, and just the sort of casual conversations that WhatsApp and other platforms like that allow for social media. Being able to see what's going on, what the conversations are, and talk to individuals to verify, is this really the sentiment, etc. That was the saving grace for me. And so as the new representative for the UK looks to embark on their tenure, and I hope to announce that later this week, by the way.
Okay. Look forward to that.
Yes. As they look to embark and start their own version of what the representation for the Cayman Islands looks like in the UK and Europe, I will have that in the forefront of my mind to ensure that they know, as their chief officer, that I'm always there. And when they call, if I don't answer immediately, I'll always call back, because it is lonely at sometimes, and you start to say, well, what am I representing if you feel that level of disconnection? So that's what I would say is it was the greatest challenge. The rewards and positives are truly endless. We've had a fantastic time in the UK and in Europe. My children have blossomed in that area. But everybody, all of us, are really, really looking forward to coming home.
Great. Now, we're seeing an increase in the Cayman Islands population in the United Kingdom. Has that affected the London office in any way? Do you get more queries? Does it give you additional work with the increase in Caymanians living in the UK? Are they utilizing the office?
Yes, some do. I mean, and we have a very advanced and engaging program for the students, and also for the Cayman diaspora. It's a bit peculiar for Caymanians living in the UK, simply because they by right they are British.
Yes.
So usually, if you have individuals who are traveling from an independent country, let's say Jamaica as an example, and they're traveling to the UK as a Jamaican national, they would have registered with the embassy in there for their safekeeping. But because Caymanians are British in their own right, they travel on their British passport, and sometimes they check in, sometimes they don't. We, of course, encourage them to.
Yes.
And then once they do, we have their contact details. We can reach out to them. in the past, it's been very helpful for us when we had the issues of mass stabbings in London, and we had the bombings in Manchester, etc. We were able to use our information and instantly reach out to them saying, this is what happened. We understand you're in this area. Can you please check in to let us know you're okay? And the level of appreciation that we got from individuals in the UK and also parents here was tremendous. And that's what I think that the office is there to do, is to be of service and to serve the Caymanian people here and the Caymanian people in the UK and in Europe.
Okay. Mr. Bush, I want to thank you very much for being here this morning. Very useful information. I want to wish you all the success in your new role as the Chief Officer in the Ministry of International Trade, Investment, Aviation and Maritime Affairs. Look forward to seeing you on the bike. Make sure you buy that bike, nice bike that we saw in Monaco, and look forward to seeing you on the roads of the Cayman Islands with us on the bike as well.
Thank you.
Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after headline news at 9 o'clock.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
A 77-year-old visitor to the island has died in a water-related incident. Just after 3:30 p.m. on Friday, police and other emergency services were dispatched by the 911 Communications Center to a report of a possible drowning at a resort along the 7 Mile beach. First aid was rendered to the victim at the location. He was taken to the hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. The victim is a 77-year-old man visiting the Cayman Islands from Massachusetts in the U.S. The matter is currently under investigation. In news elsewhere, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo held talks Monday with the Saudi king and crown prince after days of mounting tensions following the downing of a U.S. drone last week and after U.S. President Donald Trump pulled back from the brink of retaliatory military strikes on Iran. Iran's naval commander, meanwhile, warned that Iranian forces would not hesitate to act again and shoot down more U.S. surveillance drones that violate Iranian airspace. The U.S. denies the drone, valued at more than $100 million, violated Iranian airspace. Trump said he backed away from planned strikes after learning that 150 people would be killed, but that military action remained an option. Turkey's ruling AK party has lost control of Istanbul after a rerun of the city's mayoral election, delivering a stinging blow to President Erdogan. With nearly all ballots counted, their main opposition party candidate had a lead of 775,000 votes, a huge increase on the margin of 13,000 he achieved in the earlier election. That victory in March was annulled after the AKP alleged irregularities. That result ends 25 years of AKP rule in Istanbul. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We now have in the studio with us, no stranger to Radio Cayman, no stranger to For the Record as well, Ms. Marzita Bawden, and she is the Deputy Executive Chairperson of Celebrate Cayman. We're talking about the activities in the Cayman Islands surrounding our Constitution and some of those activities that will be taking place this week, this weekend as well. Ms. Bawden, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
It's always very exciting when you come on the show as well. Also, your chair, Mr. Alfonso. So much to talk about. And I'm going to make this plug early, that we hope and we trust that the government will see fit to ensure that Celebrate that the office of Celebrate Cayman remains in place, not because of the fact that, as far as our coat of arms is concerned, that the 60 years of celebration for that, and we wait for maybe 65 or 70 or 75 or whatever, or our Constitution. But there is so much to celebrate, so much about the Cayman Islands to celebrate, that this office needs to continue. It needs to become a permanent fixture, as far as the people of the Cayman Islands are concerned. So that is my plug, and I'm not going to say any more. I'm going to leave it all to Miss Marzita Barton.
Well, Celebrate Cayman truly is a mindset. It's an attitude. It's an ideology. It's a philosophy. We have so many things to celebrate about Cayman, as rightfully said. And that's why throughout the Coat of Arms anniversary celebrations that were from May 2018 through May 2019, we used lots of different ways and means to celebrate that. Yes, the coat of arms was the center and the inspiration for all of these things, but whether it was through history, art, food, music, culture, education, and so much more, the idea was to remind people about the wonderful things to celebrate about being from this country, about living in this country, working in this country, and just being a part of this community. And we're really excited that not only this weekend is a long holiday weekend, which everybody loves, but we're hoping that those of you who are on island this weekend, it is Constitution Weekend. Monday is the observation of Constitution Day. The anniversary, the 60th anniversary of our Cayman Islands' first written constitution is Thursday, the 4th of July. But this Constitution Weekend, again, we're giving people a range of ways to be a part of the celebrations and to kick off another 12 months of engagement and celebrating our diversity and building community. So on Saturday morning, the Honourable Premier is hosting a cultural breakfast that celebrates the anniversary of the Constitution, of course, but also some key relationships in the Cayman Islands history, namely our relationship with the United Kingdom and the relationship with Jamaica. And that takes place from 7:30 till 10 a.m. And everyone is invited to listen right here on Radio Cayman to hear the proceedings for that. And on Saturday evening, which many people are rightfully very excited about, we have an international all-star charity football match happening at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex. Now, we have some Premier League legends who are visiting us. Some from the countries that we're celebrating, of course. We have Sean Davis of England. From Jamaica, we have Ricardo Gardner, Darren Moore, Theodore Whitmore, Walter Boyd, Onad Delo. And from the Cayman Islands, we have some Cayman Islands greats as well. Lee Ramone, Antonio Smith, Gillis Seymour, Richard Hugh, Virgil Seymour, and so many more. And we have 60 players who are coming together on the pitch to form two teams. So 60 players to celebrate 60 years. And we're saying it's going to be a celebration for the ages. We're hopeful that whether or not you are a 5-year-old who loves to just kick a ball around, or you are a 55-year-old who remembers seeing some of these players go to the World Cup, or if you are 95 years old and just absolutely love what sport does in a community, we want everyone to come out. It is free for all to attend at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex. The gates open at 3 p.m. and kickoff is at 6 p.m. We have some very special people who are visiting us over the next week. I know that Chief Officer Eric Bush was on earlier, and he was probably likely talking a bit about some of the pre-JMC and Trade Summit activities happening this week. So we have heads of government from overseas territories and special dignitaries who are coming to visit us, and they will be attending as well. So we encourage everyone to get there before 5:30 to make sure that everyone is in the complex. Please, no glass bottles or large bags to bring with you. So just keep it simple. Bring a little bit of money to buy some concessions, and bring your flags to represent your countries and show your excitement.
No glass bottles.
No glass bottles and no large bags. Of course, huge shout out in advance to our the wonderful people at the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, who will be helping us to make sure everyone stays safe on Saturday evening. As you can imagine, it's a very exciting time to have all these players there. People will be very excited. The Truman Bodden Sports Complex, we hope it'll be packed to capacity, and we will have the police there to make sure that everyone is safe. So please ensure that you cooperate with any traffic guidance and that sort of thing. And I know the RCAPS will be issuing some advisories this week about that. In
terms of roads closures, or if there will be
Absolutely, absolutely. And if football is not your thing, or if Saturday evening you already have plans, there are some opportunities for the rest of the weekend as well. On Saturday morning, we have our Constitution 60th Anniversary Thanksgiving Church service, which gives people the opportunity to reflect and give thanks for the journey that we've been on and be a part of an experience with a church community. That's happening at Emsley Memorial Church, right in downtown Georgetown, sort of our national church, if you will, on Sunday, the 30th of June. And the service begins at 10:30 a.m., but we're asking everyone to please be there by 10 o'clock a.m. That will be carried live on Radio Cayman as well.
And in terms of parking for that, because we know that there's limitation on parking.
Is limited.
Would they be able to use the port area for parking?
Yes, yes. The Port Authority of Cayman Islands has been kind enough to allow us to use parking there. But of course, throughout downtown Georgetown too, there will be the usual available parking. We just ask people to make sure you still obey, of course, any usual guidance. Don't park on double yellow lines, etc., etc. So throughout Georgetown as well. And then on Monday morning, back in downtown Georgetown at 9 a.m., we are celebrating with history, and we are turning our focus to and attention to the Georgetown Town Hall. Now, you might wonder, well, why are we doing something there? Well, many people know that throughout the ages, really, the town halls were a centre of community life, and that's where so many things happened. My paternal grandparents were married there, and I'm sure many people's relatives had, parties and church services and all sorts of things happen, and those are the centre of community life. But the Georgetown Town Hall in particular was the site where the 60th anniversary, the Constitution was enacted. The Legislative Assembly of Justices and Vestry of 1959 were in that building. That's where they met, and that's where they passed that first written sort of guiding document for this country. So it has huge cultural significance with respect to the Constitution, but it's significant to the Cayman Islands. So we're having a commemorative ceremony there. Starts at 9. All the festivities will be done by 11. The ceremony itself will be about 45 minutes to an hour. And then following that, we'll have a traditional Caymanian breakfast for everyone who's there to be able to enjoy. So
that's open to the public?
It's open to the public, okay. Yes, absolutely. So 9 to 11 on public holiday Monday morning, and then you can enjoy the rest of your day however you wish. But I think in downtown Georgetown, learning a bit about the history of our country, the significance of that building to our Constitution, and being with people who are celebrating Cayman in this way would be a fantastic way to kick off your holiday Monday, which is Constitution Day observed. So a range of things to get involved. And then if you're saying, oh my goodness, I'm off island this weekend and I'm missing some of it, like I said, lots of these activities are airing live on Radio Cayman. I know many people do still listen to local radio when you're traveling, and that's wonderful. But also on Thursday, Constitution Anniversary Day, right here on Radio Cayman, we're having a radio roundtable where Constitution and subject matter experts are having conversations about our Constitution, certainly the circumstances around its genesis and the journey to where it is today and the way it's evolved. And during this time slot for the record, as well as Talk Today, it's all about our Constitution. So you have lots of opportunities and lots of ways and means to get involved in the celebrations, and we invite everyone to join in.
Excellent. And I believe this may not be part of your celebration, but the speaker, former speaker, Honorable Mayor Lawrence did call in and point out that on Monday as well, they will have an open house and celebration at the Mission House in Bodden Town as well, and exhibits and everything else there also. I don't think that that's an official part of I don't know if it's an official part of Celebrate Cayman, but it is certainly something that's out there as well.
Yeah, it's not an official part, but one of the things that we've loved, that we've seen over the last year is that even if you are not under the banner of Celebrate Cayman as you will, people have done things that are absolutely in the same spirit of what Celebrate Cayman is about. And that is the idea. That was the point, is to encourage people to celebrate community, our cultural diversity, build a spirit of community, engage and educate people, particularly our young people, and help to build national pride. And so while that may not be an official event, you can bet that now that we're aware of that too, we will be telling people about that. If people say, well, what else can I do? What else can I get involved with this weekend? How else can I participate? I want to take my children somewhere. We'll of course tell you about the activities that we have planned, but we'll direct you to things like that as well, because Mission House, of course, is another building that has a wonderful, beautiful historical significance to the Cayman Islands as well. So please go out and check that out too.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. The conversation with Ms. Marzita Borden, the Deputy Executive Chairperson of Celebrate Cayman, will continue after this short commercial break.
Wow, it seems I buy a battery every year.
Oh, for real? You should buy your car battery from Vatman. Their batteries are tough. I have a 3-year warranty on mine.
Oh, I know that trick. I take it back and they charge me a percentage of the price.
Hear me out, bro. Not at Vamp Bobo. You can get a 3-year full warranty, no charge. And if they install it at Vamp, it includes free towing and jumping service. And let me tell you, you will never have to get your hands dirty changing no battery.
Get Motorcraft Max or Plus battery for 20% off when it's installed by the service department at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road. Now that's a deal you can get charged up about. Vamp Motors, keeping you on the road.
Extended through June.
Did you know the third most important factor for customer retention is cleanliness? With 95% of shoppers saying exterior appearance influences where they decide to shop. Keep your business clean with Roper's Janitorial. From offices to restaurants, interior and exterior, walls to rugs and flooring, Roper's cleans it all, including 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Dress your business for success with Roper's Janitorial. We make your business shine. 949-2511.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
Hello, I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I remind you that we have in the studio with us Ms. Marzita Borden, who is the Deputy Executive Chairperson of Celebrate Cayman. We're talking about celebrating our Constitution here in the Cayman Islands this weekend and the beginning of next week as well. I also want to remind you that we do have our phone lines open in the event that you have any comments, questions, or observations in relation to the topic that we're talking about. Our phone numbers or toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word for the record, at CANDW.KY. WhatsApp us on 925-3261 as well. I'm going to throw the mic back over to Ms. Marzita.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So last Friday, hot off the press, the second issue of the Thatchrope Times arrived here on Island. Okay. Now, we've talked about the Thatchrope Times a few times that we've been on the radio. The Thatchrope Times is a newspaper that is co-produced between the Celebrate Cayman team, the Ministry of Education, Department of Education, and our school students. So issue 1 came out in March, and it highlighted students' contributions and expressions of the coat of arms in their own way. There was poems, there were photo stories, art, and so much more, along with highlights of school visits and activities that our students had participated in throughout the year. So last Friday, the second issue came out, and it's the Royal Visit edition. And in that, it features, of course, some highlights from the Royal Visit, stories about the royal family, but more importantly, it was contributions from students across the Cayman Islands about their experiences during the Royal Visit. Mm-hmm. So there are photos of when students met their Royal Highnesses, students at some of the events that took place. A few of them shared what their entire day was like that day, sort of following all the excitement on. So please do pick up a copy of the Thatchrope Times.
They're for free, right?
They are free. Mm-hmm. They are included with the distribution of the Caymanian Times, so it's inserted in that. But of course, there's copies that have been sent to every school on Island. I know a few of the schools closed on Friday, and those schools got the delivery on Friday before lunchtime, so your students should have come home with a copy.
Is it available digitally as well?
Yes, it is available digitally. We should have the link to post on our website, just like issue 1 today, and it'll be there, so you'll be able to digitally see issues 1 and 2. Issue 1 is there now, and then issue 2 should be posted today. And we have copies that are at the government admin building, lots of community points and areas. Mm-hmm. But there are many copies of it, and I encourage everyone to pick it up because it's wonderful to see through the eyes of our young people, their experiences with the Royal Visit, which took place at the end of March. Yeah. And again, you might say, well, how does that all fit in? One of our key mandates is to engage and educate our young people and have them learn a bit about, but be a part of our community as well. And through co-producing this publication and having them the opportunity to express themselves, to see their name in print, to contribute to something, hopefully it gives them the feeling of being part of something that's bigger than themselves, but seeing how their one contribution can make something better as well. So the Thatchrope Times issue 2 is out, so please ask for it. If you see it, if you pick up a few copies, give one to a friend. But it's wonderful to see the Royal Visit highlighted through that. Yes, of course. So we're very excited about that. And of course, it's a very exciting week here, not only for the Cayman Islands government, of course, but and also, of course, naturally with the Celebrate Cayman team with our Constitution celebrations this weekend.
Okay. And for the benefit of our listening and viewing audience, I'd like you to repeat the activities.
Absolutely. So starting on Saturday morning, the Honourable Premier is hosting a breakfast that not only celebrates the 60th anniversary of our first written constitution, but also some key partnerships and relationships that we've been a part of over the last 60 years. Of course, relationships and partnership and collaboration make it all happen. So we're celebrating our relationship with Jamaica and the United Kingdom. And you can listen to those proceedings 7:30 to 10 a.m. right here in Radio Cayman. And then later on Saturday evening, Saturday 29th of June, we kick off things at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex with an international all-star football match that we will also be raising money for charity. There will be a donation collection to benefit the Hope for Today Foundation. Gates open at 3 p.m. We ask everyone to be there by 5:30 and kickoff is at 6 o'clock. You can expect people from England, Sean Davis, from Jamaica, Onandi Lowe, Walter Boyd, Theodore Whitmore, Darren Moore, Ricardo Gardner, Shaka Hislop from Trinidad and Tobago, all Premier League legends. Cayman Islands national team greats, Lee Ramone, Antonio Smith, Gillis Seymour, Richard Hugh, Virgil Seymour, and so many more. It's 60 players to celebrate and mark 60 years. It's a celebration for the ages. There will be a halftime show. It's going to be wonderful. And it's really bringing all these people together is to reinforce this message that coming together in partnership, when we all do that, regardless of where we're from, when we come together, we can make something wonderful happen. And so we're really grateful that these people are coming from, of course, our Cayman Islands and countries around the world to be a part of the celebrations in this way. So again, that's Saturday, 29th of June. Gates open at 3, kickoff is at 6, and it is free for everyone to attend. And please be sure to listen out to the RCIPS advisories for that. Please leave any glass bottles and large bags at home.
Will there be an opportunity for the public to meet any of these former legends or these legends?
I absolutely hope so. I hope so. They're all very excited to be here, and I'm sure that there will be opportunities for us to interact with some of them for sure.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, and then on Sunday morning, hopefully you don't have to watch a wild and crazy fun night of football. You're able to get up and attend the 60th anniversary Thanksgiving church service at the Emsley Memorial Church on the waterfront. That's Sunday, 30th of June. The service begins at 10:30 a.m., but we ask you to be there by 10 a.m. And again, it's just to reflect on the journey we've been, give thanks for the many blessings that we've experienced as a country. And if you aren't able to attend, that will be carried live on Radio Cayman as well. And on Monday morning, the 1st of July, which is our public holiday, Constitution Day observed, we will be commemorating the Georgetown Town Hall's historic role in the Cayman Islands, but particularly for the Constitution. That's where the 1959 Legislative Assembly of Justices and Vestry enacted our first Constitution. So it's significant, yes, because of the many community activities and happenings that have taken place at the Town Hall, but because of its connection to the Constitution. That begins at 9 a.m. There'll be a short 45-minute to 1 hour ceremony, and then it's followed by a traditional Caymanian breakfast. Public is invited, and it'll be aired live on Radio Cayman. And then on Thursday, the 4th of July, which is the anniversary date of the Constitution, there will be a round table right here on Radio Cayman, both during For the Record and Talk Today time segments. And we will have Constitution and subject matter experts on air talking about the circumstances around the original Constitution and the way it's evolved over the last 60 years. And some of the people on the show include former Speaker of the House, Honourable Mary Lawrence, constitutional expert, Mr. Steve Macfield, policy analyst Jason Webster, the Constitutional Commission, Mr. Vaughn Carter. Of course, you will be here ably hosting the show indeed, and several others. So we encourage everyone to tune in here to Radio Cayman to hear about that, because we've certainly had a very interesting journey with respect to from our first written Constitution back in 1959 through to today. And of course, our Constitution is a conversation that continues to evolve. And this is something that we want everyone to tune into and be a part of this discussion.
And we can add to that, too, that there may be some personalities who may not be able to be in the studio, but we're also planning on having a phone link with them to talk to them.
Absolutely.
As well.
Absolutely. And I want to mention as well that, one of the key things from the 1959 Constitution was the Sex Disqualification Act, which gave women the right to vote and to stand for office for the very first time. And so people can expect over the next year, of course, us to be focusing on and celebrating that fact, because of course we have had some incredible women stand for office over the last 60 years. And of course, it's wonderful that everybody has a right to vote, because that's the way it should be. So we're hopeful that some of those key people who were instrumental in being a part of making that happen are able to attend and participate in some of these activities both this weekend and going forward.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record with Miss Marzita Borden. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip, Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
Discover your purpose. Unleash your potential with U.S. Grammy-nominated gospel singer and motivational speaker, 22-year-old Jacqueline Carr, and local youth talent at Gospel Fest 2019. Lions Center, Sunday, June 30th, 6:30 p.m. Tickets $15 pre-sold. Performing Billboard hits, You're Bigger and You Will Win. Jacqueline Carr at Gospel Fest 2019. You can't afford to miss it. Tickets available at the following outlets: Cayman Islands Conference, ABNC, ValueMed Pharmacy, Christian Enlightenment Center, Bellagio Salon and Spa, Campbell's Auto Repairs and Sales, Funky Tanks Limited, the Physiotherapy Center, Rankins Plaza, Shop number 11, Plaza Venezia, North Sound Road.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Ms. Marzita Bawden, the Deputy Chairperson of, Deputy Executive Chairperson of Celebrate Cayman. We're talking about the activities on the weekend as well as next week in relation to celebrating 60 years of our Constitution here in the Cayman Islands. We're going to talk a little bit more, talk about some of the things that have been uncovered as a result of research. I know in speaking to Mr. Alfonso a few weeks ago, talked about time that he spent a few days in Jamaica doing research, as well as here locally in our archives. But before we go there to talk about some of the things that have been unearthed, do we have? Will there be any specific mementos to celebrate our Constitution like we had for our coat of arms?
Yes, there will be. There will be. And I'll quickly mention that we do still have some memorabilia for the coat of arms celebrations that people can purchase. And so there will be some sales days scheduled over the summer. But if you want to, you can contact us either at celebratecayman@gov.ky or 244-5753, and we will get some of those items to you. We're at the Government Administration Building is where we are based. So what you will have some exciting memorabilia, of course, for the Constitution, some that are really cool and some that will remind people of some celebrations of years past. So do stay tuned and listen for that. As soon as it's available, we will, of course, start letting the public know. But expect to hear about some of that in September, because we know that the summer period can be a bit quieter as people enjoy the holidays and the break and that sort of thing as well. But I am really happy that I'm on air right now because I've just received confirmation that I hope our young footballers will be excited about. We are now able to confirm that there will be a clinic for some of our young people with some of the visiting football players.
Great.
It's happening on Thursday afternoon, starting at 3:00 p.m. At the Academy Field. So again, school will be out. If you want to begin your interactions early with some of the visiting football players, there's a clinic that'll be happening with some of them on Thursday, starting at 3:00 p.m. at the Academy Field.
And where's the Academy Field located?
Just behind Triple C School.
Yes.
Yes, so that's very exciting, and I'm really happy that we were able to confirm that for everyone as well.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Now let's talk about research. A tremendous amount of research, a tremendous amount of work has gone into, because most people know about our 2009 Constitution. We talk a lot about our 1972 Constitution. We don't necessarily talk a lot about our 1958 Constitution, and we don't even talk about legislation that was in place before the 1958 Constitution that basically served as our Constitution as well. And these are some of the things that that roundtable discussion will involve as well.
Absolutely. And you're right, over the past year, of course, doing research for our coat of arms and, of course, our Constitution, it's been wonderful to get this sort of glimpse into what life was like back then, particularly for our legislators. As you say, prior to 1959, when we got our first written Constitution, they were largely working on sort of laws and regulations, rules that were in place from the early 1800s. And there are a few texts that really do a fantastic job of capturing some of their thoughts and sentiments when the 1959 Constitution was being passed. And it really highlighted that getting this Constitution was a key factor, a key milestone, a key step in modernizing Cayman from where it was at that point prior to that. So it's wonderful that it's not just, yes, we got a Constitution, people sort of clapped in a hall and that was that. It was a lot more than that. They had to take in not only the circumstances that had brought them to that point, but the wants, needs and desires of the wider community at that time. Population was only about 8,000 people, but every voice was seen, every voice was heard and considered. Of course, we had a constitutional relationship with Jamaica. The United Kingdom relationship, of course, still remains, and there were lots of nuances that had to be taken into consideration. I mean, we sometimes forget, but the internet and email and phones did not exist for all of time, right? Like many of us, including myself, can remember a time before these things existed in sort of mass and in some mass audiences. So they had some very challenging circumstances to deal with, the pace at which things had to move, the process. And I mean, arguably, of course, our legislators still have some of those challenges and concerns, but they're very different.
Yes.
But back in 1959, they made incredible efforts to work together to have this Constitution that was reflective of the foundations and the beliefs of the country, the desires and needs of the country, and of course their collective vision for the country as well. So that the 1959 body, and we'll be celebrating, of course, those people and remembering them and acknowledging their contributions throughout the year. That body, interestingly, is not exactly the same as the body who enacted the coat of arms in 1958. There was a little bit of a change. So there will be some people who we will hear about and see again because they were part of both, but there's some new people as well. So the 1959 first written Constitution of the Cayman Islands was this guiding document that had served us, as you said, for many years, and it evolved as we went over time, 1972, 2009, and beyond. And just watching the way that the Constitution has evolved and our constitutional governing has evolved really over the last 200 years, from the 1800s to present. It's been interesting, but I think most will agree from either people who know or from what you'll learn over the next year that 1959 was absolutely a pivotal moment when it comes to modern Cayman Islands with respect to a constitution.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the role of our National Archives. It's such a treasure trove, and I don't believe as many people utilize it as should. And hopefully during those roundtables we will have someone from the National Archives, because we need to really highlight, what they do, what they have there, and if they don't have it, where else. Because we're getting more and more people who are becoming students of our past, our history, our Constitution, or coat of arms, and who want to know more. And unfortunately, a lot of that information is not necessarily resident here in the Cayman Islands, either housed in Jamaica or housed in the United Kingdom as well. But even with that, our National Archives does play a pivotal role.
It absolutely does, and I know what you mean when you say, well, unfortunately, lots of that information is overseas, but I mean, fortunately, a lot of it is overseas because when we were devastated by Hurricane Ivan in 2004, lots of records were lost, not only people's personal archives, but of course with our National Archive as well. And it's sort of a capsule of that captures moments in time and information and photos and written pieces of work and articles that, 100 years from now without an archive, people will only be able to guess, perhaps wonder, what it was about. Yeah, we think that there might be sort of the internet and that sort of technology and capability, but we really don't know. So the National Archive is an incredible resource, and we have worked so closely with the National Archive, and the team there have been incredibly helpful. They have unearthed things that we didn't know that we were looking for. And I encourage anyone that when it comes to wanting to know a bit more about your country, your community, wherever that may be, contact your National Archive, because they're an incredible resource for research and resources, and they're always willing and able to help. Many of them know, of course, the systems and what's available there inside and out, because people come there with varying points of view and points of interest, and so they're able to sort of help you weave together the pieces of the story that you're looking for. And like you mentioned earlier, Alfonso and I, we spent a few days in the Jamaica Archive back in May, and it was wonderful to see some of the Cayman history things that I hadn't really thought about, or things that I had maybe heard bits and pieces of, that I was able to get a complete story, because you had, the correspondence between the administrator's office and the reporting line in Jamaica, the UK, and back and forth, because that's the way it was. And the records are kept and preserved so beautifully, and we're able to get the support and identify things. And you see names of people that, at one point you only saw the initials there, and you got the full names, you got a bit of their backstory. And thankfully, again, that was a huge reminder of the importance of the historic relationship that the Cayman Islands have with Jamaica. And the Jamaica Archive was, again, hugely helpful to us while we were there. We pulled hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of files, and we were able to get some of those, to use those to inform and influence the things that we're planning for the year. But the Jamaica Archive is an absolute treasure trove of information, not only on the Cayman Islands, of course, but of course Jamaica, but for the Cayman Islands. Very, very interesting experience. So anyone who happens to go to Jamaica and perhaps are looking for something a bit different to do when you're there, it's located in Spanish Town on King Street. And the team there will be more than happy to assist you. You're diving into a completely different world of information. And Alfonso teases me all the time. He says, "You see why I get excited now?" Because every few documents, I was like, "Look at this, check this out," So it's wonderful to see. But I encourage everyone that even just locally, if you are curious about something, researching a topic of particular interest, or just you just want to experience probably a bit of time beyond, visit the National Archive, let them know Celebrate Cayman sent you, and see what you find, because I think you'll be pleasantly, in the best way possible, taken aback, and your mind will be expanded by what you'll find at the archive.
Now, how much of that do they hold electronically? Because I'm thinking, and I think I asked Mr. Alfonso this question as well. How can we partner with the Jamaica Archives? So just like everything else that we have, I shouldn't say everything else, but some other things that we have to travel directly to Jamaica to access, whether or not we can partner with the archives over there to make those things available locally, so that we can connect locally. And it would certainly be a very useful and productive investment for the Cayman Islands government to try to partner with the Jamaican government and the archives there, so that we can get a little bit closer to our history.
Yeah, those possibilities are being explored and those conversations are being had, because I think that from our visit and from anyone who's aware of the information records that are there, absolutely it's something that we should be able to have easy access to. And so while we can't say, well, this is what's going to happen and this is by when it's going to happen, those conversations are happening, because anything that can be done to bring people closer to our history and have easier access to that for recreational, personal, but of course professional purposes as well. And we want to make sure that that's possible. So those conversations are being had, and we're hopeful that that will be something that also comes out of the Celebrate Cayman initiatives.
Excellent. Okay, we have a few minutes left. I want to give you an opportunity again to remind our listening and viewing audience of the activities that are taking place. We know, for instance, that we had Emancipation Day. Not a whole lot of celebration in the Cayman Islands. Maybe because some people may be in denial. Maybe some other persons didn't know about our history, this history of slavery in the Cayman Islands. Please don't let it happen with our Constitution. Get out there and celebrate, because there is something to celebrate. Maybe we don't have the Constitution. The current Constitution may not be the one that ultimately some people want, but that's what we have now. We need to celebrate that. We need to celebrate what we had in the past, and we may need to look at what we require for the future as well.
Yes. So the Constitution is absolutely, it's a guiding document, and it's a symbol of our path to modernity. And it's also our first written Constitution in 1959 was the one that first gave women the right to stand for office and the right to vote. So you have lots of opportunities to celebrate this weekend. You can celebrate with culture by listening into the cultural breakfast being hosted by the Honourable Premier. That's at 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., where we will, of course, be celebrating and reflecting on the Constitution, but also our relationship with Jamaica and the United Kingdom. You can listen right here on Radio Cayman to those proceedings. On Saturday evening, celebrate with sport at the International All-Star Charity Football Match. We have players from England, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, of course, and our Cayman Islands greats. It's free for all to attend at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex.
Plus the clinic now.
Yes, exactly. The gates open at 3:00 p.m. and we ask everyone to be there by 5:30 p.m. Please do not bring any glass bottles or large bags, and come, of course, with a few dollars to donate to the Hope for Today Foundation, which helps individuals who are transitioning to recovery and suffering from addiction. And there will be a clinic for young people on this Thursday afternoon, starting at 3:00 at Academy Field, if you want to interact with some of the visiting players. Then on Sunday morning, you can celebrate with community at the Gemsey Memorial Church. There'll be a service of Thanksgiving that begins at 10:30 a.m. We ask everyone to be there by 10:00 a.m. And then on Monday morning, the 1st of July, Constitution Holiday, we will be celebrating with history at the Georgetown Town Hall, commemorating the significance of that building to the Constitution, but also to the Cayman Islands. That begins at 9 o'clock. It'll be a 1-hour ceremony, followed by a traditional Caymanian breakfast. Free for all to attend, of course, and you can listen to the proceedings on Radio Cayman if you're unable to attend. Similarly, with the service at Ems Memorial Church will be carried live on Radio Cayman. But we encourage everyone to come out as much as possible. And on Monday, what better way to start your holiday than to learn a bit more about this historic building, have some traditional breakfast, and then enjoy the rest of the day however you like.
Sorry, yeah.
And on the 4th of July, which is the 60th anniversary of the first written Constitution of the Cayman Islands, right here in Radio Cayman, we will have our radio roundtable, subject matter experts, including former Speaker of the House, Honourable Mary Lawrence, Mr. Steve McField, policy analyst Jason Webster, Constitutional Commissioner Vaughn Carter. You'll be moderating and hosting that conversation, talking about the journey the Cayman Islands have been on for 200 years, but particularly the one since our first constitution to the one we have today. So many ways to get involved, so many ways to learn a bit about the Constitution, to be a part of the community, to help build national pride and to celebrate our 60th anniversary of our first written constitution. That's why we have this wonderful long weekend coming up.
Looking forward to it.
It's our constitution. Yes.
Thank you very much. All the best. Thanks for being here as well, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on ensuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
Always ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
Each weekday, Monday through Friday, Miracle Brokers is a proud sponsor of Radio Cayman's Bulletin Board. For all your moving needs, call the professionals at Miracle Brokers, 949-5989 or 916-0355. For a free estimate, they take the hassle out of moving. Miracle Brokers.
Now located at 140 Kingbird Drive in the North Sound.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have about 10 minutes left before the show is over. Very informative conversation with Ms. Marzita Borden, and I trust that everyone has taken note of all of the activities that are taking place, because you need to be a part of those activities as well. It is who we are. It is where we've come from, and if you want to continue on that journey in terms of where we go from here, then you need to participate as well. I'm going to share as much as I can with you without giving away some of the things that we will discuss on the round table as well. Looking at the Cayman Times, the 28th of January 1957. And again, this is courtesy of Mr. Alfonso Wright by way of the Cayman Islands National Archives. Caymanian-born praises the Times founder. Hearty congratulations for founder of the Cayman Times came last week from Caymanian-born Miss Melky Bowie Nee Anderson, who paid a brief visit to her homeland last week. Mrs. Bowie was educated at Westwood High School in Jamaica, now lives permanently in Nicaragua. And she's quoted as saying, "It's a wonderful piece of work," she declared in reference to the Cayman Times. And like I said, told you earlier, the Cayman Times, they were published by the Jamaica Gleaner and distributed every Monday in the Cayman Islands. So it would arrive on Friday and it was distributed every Monday in the Cayman Islands. I believe we have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Rossi.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. That's fine, thank you. Good morning to the wonderful lady there and all that there. embarking on very valuable.
Okay, she has left. She has left, sir.
Well, yes, what I'd like to say, and I'm sorry I didn't catch Mr. Bush there, because I needed an answer to that question that I asked him a year ago, I believe it was.
Oh, about the passport?
The change in the passport.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Has to be a reason for it. What has happened to us, and when we say us, we need to define that us, because we know what has happened here. The generational citizens, Caymanians, are outnumbered. There's no other country around us anywhere near like that. So we have a very unique situation and a difficult to carve out on two of the people, our identity, I call it. The culture is changing things, and is a changing thing, and can metamorphosize, if that's the correct nomenclature, to many things, and 130 cultures could be melded into one, which is impossible, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
And then heritage and so-called identity. And what I'm...
Hello, caller, are you there? I think something happened with that caller's telephone. Hopefully he'll call back. We don't have a whole lot of time left, maybe about 5 minutes left. In that issue of the Cayman Times that I spoke about, this issue of 28th of January 1957, Major Donald took the oath of office in the Cayman Islands as well. And in the discussions about the coat of arms of the Cayman Islands, we know that Major Donald played a pivotal, an important role in that development as well. So that issue of the Cayman Times speaks about the fact that the swearing-in ceremony of the Honorable Major A.H. Donald OBE as Commissioner of the Cayman Islands last week, Tuesday, at the city's town hall, and you hear Ms. Marzita Borden talking about the town hall and celebrating that as well, was a colorful affair and brought out a large and representative gathering to witness the brilliant speech. Amongst those on the platform with Major Donald were the retiring commissioner, Mr. A.M. Gerard, Mr. E.S. Parsons, clerk of the courts, Mr. E.O. Panton, clerk of the Legislative Assembly, Major Watler, inspector of police, and His Honor Mr. V.L. Scott, who administered the oath. I think Mr. V.L. Scott would have been one of the judges here as well. And, of course, we know that the judges also sat on an executive or the advisory executive council as well. And it says, after the formal oath taken, Mr. E.O. Panton read an address on behalf of the assembly and then asked any of the gathering who wished to speak to do so. So they even asked the public to speak in 1957. I'm not sure that if you had a meeting like that these days, whether or not any member of the public would be asked to speak. That might become a hot potato if they allowed that. I think our caller has rejoined us. We have a few minutes left. Caller, good morning. Welcome back.
Yes, I'm sorry I got cut off. Yes, I don't know if you heard what I was saying.
Only part of it.
Yes, right. Miss Mary, that we years ago started trying to preserve our identity because of culture. We seem to have been afraid to do so. And only when we're quiet meeting, Caymanians are meeting amongst themselves, they talk about things. But all the history and important history of government needs to be known by our children and our teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And, the system from 1801 with the judges holding court in the old St. James House, Peter Castle, and then it became the two-part after the December 10, 1831 first election, with the magistrates sitting in one room and the elected sitting in the other, and so forth, and on the same day. And they deciding everything for 6 or 7 years till 1898 when the first governor was sent here, Sheldon Sanguinetti. But all these things I need to know. And then with the governors before, they're called commissioners, and then administrators, essentially the same thing, but they had much more interaction and much more to do with the local scene and the politics here than now, because they were very involved in even building roads and in making arrests, acting as chief of police. And I believe Mr. Pandon was once arrested by Mr. Gerard, I believe, Mr. Ormond, for some trafficking or something. Anyhow, it just showed you a difference, a big difference. Now it is the deputy governor, of course, who would be in charge of the civil service, so it's a Caymanian there. And then the motion 390, where they wanted to increase, they had that march in town, to increase the amount of official members, ex-official members who had a vote in the legislature but were not elected in, and that failed. They were wanting to increase it from 3 to 5, I think. And then we move on now to where it's all elected. But still, I think we need to advance further. What I was going to say with the Heritage Village idea, I have always believed that we should take that step further. For the last several years, it should actually be a village with generational Caymanians living on it, and then you'd have a park that would take place in all 5 of what was the major districts. You'd have something, maybe 50 acres of National Trust land would be done for that. They could actually be living there, and not say going back into old time like the Quakers or so, but still living on it. And then you'd have a huge area for demonstrating to the public and selling the things they produce and so forth. And something like Indian reservations. I mean, be telling me we should isolate our people, but we're talking about preserving our identity. That if we're going to have a village, it should be a village we're living in. They're actually living their special privileges. It's easy to garner the amount of people that could be held on that and could be living there, getting special taxation privileges, etc., and raising their, the cattle or goats or something, a big enough area that it would actually represent generational Caymanians, and they can demonstrate and see how we lived. And even then and in the modern world, you don't have to be dressed up except on the out part of it, showing to the public all these goods and wares.
Caller, we have to cut you off now because we've reached actually past 10 o'clock at this point in time. I want to thank you again for your comments. Well taken. And I'm sure that everyone has listened to those as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.